All right, everyone. Apologize for the delay, but I'd like to ask everyone to please rise and join us in the flag salute. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, public be heard. Agenda items only, please. All right, seeing no one. Approval of minutes. December 18th, regular meeting. January 2nd, reorganization meeting, and January 2nd, work session. Entertain a motion? Motion. Second. Discussion? Roll call.
Yes.
Ms. Goff?
Yes.
Mr. Palouse?
Yes.
Mr. Reicher?
Yes.
Mrs. Sanford?
Yes.
Mrs. Garrett?
Yes.
Mrs. Tara?
Yes.
Mrs. Turner?
Yes.
Mr. Doyle?
Yes. All right, correspondence. Mr. Sprito? I'm sorry, Student Council first. Elizabeth, please.
Good evening, everyone. Hawthorne High School has had an exciting start to the new year this January. The National Honor Society recently hosted a painting with a community event with the help of Mrs. Russo. The public was invited through social media to participate in an instructive painting class, and some Hawthorne High School faculty, Ms. Clifford, Mr. Cunningham, Nurse Segreto, and Dr. Mancheri attended. NHS students, including myself, had the pleasure of helping participants. The National Honor Society Middle School Tutoring Program continues to do successful outreach to students that need help. This month, all senior health classes have the infamous baby project. Students had to care up and create a gender reveal card and carry the baby all around for 5 days. Personally, I learned more than I thought there was to know about pregnancy and childhood, and I'm very glad the babies were just plastic. The popular volleyball tournament was held January 18th, and as always, was accompanied with some healthy team rivalry. Auditions for the 2019 spring musical Bye Bye Birdie will be held on January 23rd, and I'm looking forward to what I know will be another great show. Mr. Hawthorne auditions began the start of another Mr. Hawthorne show. The school store is open to faculty and students of Hawthorne High School before, during lunches, and after school on Fridays. The Italian Honor Society will be holding its annual induction ceremony on January 24th. Congratulations to this month's winner of the Bear Award, Mrs. Redmersky. It was definitely well deserved. The Winter Guard, a new group in Hawthorne High School, had their first ever performance on January 12th at West Hawthorne High School, where they earned first place in an exhibition performance. We congratulate Dave Brevin, who auditioned and was accepted into the Region Band, which is an audition-only ensemble composed of the best high school student musicians in northern New Jersey. His first concert will be on January 27th. This winter season has proven to be one of Hawthorne's best. Boys basketball is off to a great start with 8-1 and in first place in the Colonial Division. Girls basketball continues to impress with a huge win over Glenrock and a close game with Division A teams, Rutherford. Bowling continues to have a strong season. Hunter Perry and Amanda Morata took second place in their individual New Year tournament. Wrestling has had some great starts by some of their individual wrestlers. Adam Dietrich, Declan Smith, and Andrew Corzetta took first place in their weight class during the Patriot Invitational. In indoor track, Alex Byfield won the league championship in the high rollers. The distance medley team of Anthony Bertolo, Blaise Batari, Aiden Harmer, and Nick Manzi set a school record, and then at state relays on January 17th, they amazingly broke their own record. The cheerleaders will begin their competition season on Sunday, January 27th at Wayne Valley. This month, at the Bay Lunchtime Workshops, they put an A in STEM at Art and Create STEAM. The first workshop challenged students to make group cube mosaics. The library has 42 cubes on both of the companies, and students are learning how to use math pixelation to create images. A workshop in pixelated computer art followed using graph paper and Google Sheets to customize emoji artwork. Students then dug into the starter computers to begin making a large art installation using internal computer parts. Finally, the students will use the library to make microcomputer kits to make their artwork safe. The library has teamed with Hawthorne Shapes and Commission to launch an art program that will highlight the diversity, utility, and beauty of trees. Students will be invited to create artistic renderings of trees combining art and technology with computer parts, computer software, 3D printers, and of course paint. The art will be displayed in the library to celebrate Earth Day in April. The library Club to organize events surrounding the National Human Trafficking Awareness Day on January 11th. As a registered participating school, Hawthorne received from the New Jersey Coalition Against Human Trafficking 300 magnets that were placed on lockers with important messages. Students, staff, and administrators were flagged to raise awareness of the issue, and a video was shown in the library during lunch periods, morning announcements on flyers, books, and resources. Flyers, books, and resources also help spread the word during the week leading up to this important national event. That is all for January's report. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Superintendent's report, Mr. Sprigo.
Okay, thank you very much. Just a few things, and I know you guys are waiting patiently, so I thank you very much. All our students will be with you in just a moment. Just a couple of things that I wanted to share as part of my report. First of all, I want to just recognize that January is School Board Recognition Month. The New Jersey School Boards Association declares each January School Board Recognition Month, a time when all residents can acknowledge the contributions made by our local school board members. The Hawthorne Board of Education is one of more than 581 local school boards in New Jersey, which set policies to oversee operations for public school districts for no additional compensation. In the case of the Hawthorne Board of Education, they have and continue to embrace the goal of high-quality education for all Hawthorne public school students and act as advocates for our students as they work with administrators, teachers, and parents for the betterment of public education. The Hawthorne Board of Education strives to provide resources necessary to meet the needs of all students, including those with special needs, and provides accountability to the public, communicates the needs of the school district to the public, and conveys the public's expectations for the schools to administration. I would just like to take this opportunity to recognize the service of the Hawthorne School Board for their countless hours they devote to the oversight and advancement of our children's education. Also, I want to just share a couple of highlights from this month. We had a great professional development day yesterday, a morning recharge session. It was called Recharge 2019. It was a day of health, wellness, and team building for all of our staff. It wasn't just our teachers. It was our administrators, teachers, maintenance and custodial staff, and administrative assistants. I want to thank Mrs. Trebona, our Director of Education, and Mr. Bertolini, our middle school assistant principal, for organizing the day. We had an excellent day, began with an excellent keynote speaker, Mr. Lee Rubin, from a company called Victory Road. Lee was a college football player at Penn State, actually was one of the captains of the Penn State football team a number of years ago, spoke about 5 components of a great team. Then teachers had the opportunity, or I should say everyone in our district had an opportunity to participate in activities for the rest of the morning. And I want to thank some of our local businesses. Angie's Art Box provided some opportunities with vision boards and a paint party. We had Pandora's Healing and Jason Wood provide mindful yoga, sound meditation, and nutrition program. Dr. Peter Berger from Hawthorne Pain and Spine Center ran a program on mind, body, and your diet. The Crane Center provided a program called Mindful-Based Stress Reduction, and the local escape room in Hawthorne provided an Escape from Mars program for some of our staff at the Lincoln Middle School Media Center. So thank you to everyone who, from our community and outside of our community, for participating. And I should also mention that Mr. Bertolini Sr., Mr. Bertolini, our assistant principal's father, ran a cooking class in our culinary room at the high school. So he is a chef and provided some cooking time for some of our staff. So it was a really very positive day and a great day for everyone. Just want to remind everyone that kindergarten registration will take place at the beginning of February 6th, 7th, and 8th. And as in the past, we're continuing with our automated process, and all of our information is on our website, our district website, if you have incoming kindergartners. So please visit our website to register online. You will then be notified by our school to provide some residency information, and then we will let you know when the schedule for the kindergarten orientation will take place in the spring. We also have information about our integrated preschool program and registration for that program as well. I also just wanted to briefly mention that we have a program scheduled for March 5th at 7 o'clock in the Lincoln Middle School cafeteria. It's called Tools for Cultivating Calm and Focus at Home and School for Enhanced Social and Academic Learning. This is due in large part to our guidance department at the high school, and Ms. Weger, our Director of Guidance, who has scheduled this program. The flyer will be available on our website. It is scheduled for March 5th. There's no registration required. Although it is targeted for grades 4th through 8, all parents are welcome to attend. So even if you don't have a 4th or 8th grade child, you're welcome to attend the program. And with that said, I'm going to turn it over to our patiently waiting Jefferson School students and Mr. Drosky. So, Mr. Drosky, it's all yours.
Thank you.
You can take that one, absolutely.
All right, good evening. Welcome everybody to Thomas Jefferson. Welcome to the Board of Education. Thank you for joining us. We are here tonight to talk about our wonderful new research and exploration class. And just to give you a little bit of information about that, that is a newer class we started last year. It takes some traditional elements of library, like research and reading and things of that nature, and it incorporates a lot of STEM activities and lessons. STEM, I'm sure you hear a lot about in educational conversations. It does stand for science, technology. Thank you. Shane knows. He's on top of his game. But what I think you're going to see in some of the projects that the kids are going to share for you, and I'll mention as well, is you really have these elements of inquiry and problem solving, teamwork, creativity, and once you know it, the kids actually get to have some fun. So I think it's a really wonderful class. I think it's a great example of how in Hawthorne we try to be very progressive about how we design our learning opportunities. And I promised that I would not make her stand up and speak, but I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge that a lot of the wonderful work you're going to hear about tonight is because one of our great research and exploration teachers, Ms. Rosie Tomasini. So Ms. Tomasini is the teacher here at Jefferson and at our sister school, Washington, and Ms. D'Alessandro is the wonderful research and exploration teacher at Roosevelt. We are going to hear presentations from our first, second, third, and fourth graders. Our fifth graders, their big keynote project so far was the Trex Marketplace, which some of you might be familiar with, which we had in December. And that's where the students worked together to create and design their own business, and then actually got to sell their goods and services in a fifth grade marketplace back in December. And that was a really great event as well. So, we're going to start off with our first grade students. We have Sean Fairchild and Abby Nedswick. Why don't you come on up over here where your project is. And just to underscore what I mentioned before about the different elements of this program, here's a couple of the objectives that are included in this project the kids worked on. Evaluate everyday objects made by people as technology. Identify problems that a particular object solves. Identify parts and functions of natural systems like pollination. Discuss and implement an engineering design process. Compare and contrast materials used to make an object. Conduct a controlled experiment. Did you know you were doing all of that? Yeah? That's good. I bet Ms. Tomasini tells you your student-centered objectives every day, and you know exactly what you're working on. But let's talk a little bit about the finished product. So you learned about pollination, right? Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, Alexa. You know what it is? I keep mixing you up with your second grade friends. There we go. Okay, so we have Alexa Castaldo as well. Pardon me. So what did you create?
A hand pollinator.
A hand pollinator. What does a hand pollinator do?
It picks up pollen.
Okay. Do you know why we would want to pick up pollen? I'm going off script here. We'll come back to that one. What are some of the supplies that you use to make your hand pollinator?
A spoon. Tape. Popsicle. And a pump.
A pom-pom? Okay. Did you get popsicles or she just gave you the sticks? Just the sticks? Okay. So, what is pollination? What are we doing here? You want to show me how it works first? Let's have a demonstration. Show me how the hand pollinator works.
You will dip it in right here, and you see the light that's supposed to be take pollen, and then you drop it off like that.
Okay, very nice demonstration. Is that how the other ones work too? You want to show me? No? That's fair. That's a good sales technique because now I really want to see how that works. So you learned about pollination and you learned about what kind of creature works with pollination. What's that? Bees. Okay, so bees do that, but you came up with some ways that you could do that as well, right? And do you remember what the pollination was for? What do we use that pollen for?
I put it on in the flowers.
And that helps the flowers smell nice? What does it do for the flowers?
It makes it grow.
It makes it grow. Very good. All right, let's give a nice hand to our terrific presenter, Hawthorne, Okay, you can go sit down now. All right, moving on to second grade. We have a board game project, and I have Ashley Lohr, come on up, Sophia Pergola, and Mia Campbell. A couple of the objectives for this: work together to plan and implement an authentic task, develop the ability within a group to accomplish a shared goal, develop critical thinking and evaluation skills through group interaction, demonstrate a prototype and evaluate the prototype. Now, that's a lot of fancy words. Why don't you tell us, what did you create? What is this?
Board game.
It's a board game, okay. What's it called?
Super bunnies.
Super Mints?
Super bunnies.
Super Bunnies. That sounds like fun. Okay. It looks like a game I'm familiar with. Did you model this off of another game that you know? Which game is this kind of like?
Candyman.
Ah, Candyman. Good choice. Okay. And so what are some of the locations you put on your game board?
Hawthorne, and Jefferson.
Ah, so you chose some of the greatest places in the wonderful town of Hawthorne, like Sprinkles and Jefferson School. Good choice. And what kind of pieces did you make? What are these?
Animals.
Little animals? Okay, is it like a turtle? A little chicken? Okay, so you had to make this game and then you had to play the game, right? Okay, a little spinner there as well? Okay, did you have fun? Okay, very good. All right, let's give a hand to our second grade. Thank you very much. Okay, along similar lines, we are going to have Mac O'Brien and Colin Scheidegger come up and talk about a toy that they created. And the part of this project was they had to create an original toy using recycled materials, right? Okay. Who wants to tell us a little bit about this? What did you create?
We created a golfer.
Okay, a golfer. All right, and Mac, it's your turn. What supplies did you use?
Toilet paper rolls and paper towels, tape, and paper, and
Okay, so you use a lot of paper products we have around the house. And who are you marketing towards? We talked a little bit about that in the class. You know, we have a product here. Who are you trying to sell this product to?
kids.
Kids, okay. And why do you think kids might be looking for another place to buy toys? I think that was something you talked about.
Toys R Us closed, and we were marketing towards children and adults.
Okay, yes, we have a big void in the toy industry right now. Maybe you guys can fill it with your golfer. Can you show us how it works?
And then So on the shirt says polo because the most time when I see golf like games, I usually see like polo shirts. So we wrote polo and then he has a hat and he has clothes on and his club.
Okay. So it's a club, not a golf stick. What kind of club is that? Is that a 9-iron? Sandwich? Okay, I like the cross-marketing appeal that it could be, polo shirts to go along with the golf player. Okay, and here's the tough question. What's the tough one? What steps did you follow to create your toy?
Toilet paper rolls and paper.
Well, that's the materials. Tell me the steps you took.
We did the designing engineering process.
Very good, the design and engineering process. Good. All right. That looks like fun. Let's give a hand to Matt and Hawthorne. They put these in my office before the meeting, and I wasn't sure if this was part of the toy or not. And I was so glad I didn't throw it out. But I bet you guys would have come up with a good alternative, right? All right, very good. All right, our last presenter, last but not least, Mr. Shane Ustay is going to tell us a little bit about circuits. So this is kind of the science phase of the assignment. And I saw some of these lessons where they were learning about how batteries work and light bulbs. And there was a really cool lesson where some of the kids were wondering about the wrapper on a battery. And like a well-prepared magician, Ms. Tomasini just had this unwrapped battery ready to go so they could test it out. But Shane, why don't you tell us about what you created?
So it's a circuit. When the cup is full, the light and buzzer are off. And when the cup is empty, the light and buzzer are on. But the buzzer was working when we made it. And when we remade it, the buzzer wasn't working, so we just made the buzzer separately.
Okay, so you came up with a couple of problems along the way with your design. Okay, trying to get the buzzer to work at the same time. You made some adjustments, okay? Anything else about how you solved that problem?
Well, we put tape on it to keep the wires from moving around. But when we remade it, the buzzer wasn't working.
Okay, but that's part of the process too, right? And what materials did Ms. Tomasini provide you with?
A wire, a light bulb, a battery, and a buzzer.
Okay, so everything else you had to construct the design with your team. Very cool. Can you show us how it works?
So when the cup is full, this goes up, and when the cup's empty, it falls and lands on that, and then the light goes on, and then the buzzer.
Second shot.
It's not working. I knew it wasn't.
I'll take the blame for that. I might have jostled some of the circuitry when I moved it. Sorry, Shane. But the light went on. So this would be kind of like an alarm to let us know when the cup is empty, right? Okay, this could be very handy at a restaurant, right? Okay, let's give a big hand to Shane. He did a great job. So I really want to thank all of our student participants and their family for coming to support them. We had a little bit of nerves about coming up here to speak in front of people, and I said, you're going to be speaking in front of your family. That's not too bad, right? You probably do that all the time. We did steal some of the cookies before you got out of the closed session. I figured that was a good way to get them ready for their presentation. But that's what we wanted to share with you. We're really proud of the program, proud of all the work Ms. Tomasini, Ms. D'Alessandro has done, and let's give a big round of applause to the kids.
All right, everybody, we're going to take a nice 5-minute break, enjoy some of the cookies, go look at the projects, and then everybody can see you, right? All right, we're going to resume with superintendent's report. A couple of items.
All right, I just have, okay, I just have one other item that I want to share, something that I shared with our teachers yesterday prior to the start of our professional development day. And it's regarding our conversation that we had, I guess it was back in December, about Passaic County Tech. I just want to share some thoughts about our conversation and my feelings in regard to this topic. So, again, as I shared yesterday, we all know that for many years, not just in the last few years, but for many years, parents and students in every public school district in New Jersey choose to have their children attend other high schools outside of Hawthorne, whether it's a parochial school, schools like Bergen Catholic, Don Bosco, St. Joe's, and the like. But parents may also choose to send their children to the county vocational schools. The one thing that I shared with our staff was the differences in how those are funded. And we've had those discussions. And again, what I shared with the staff was that obviously at the parochial schools, the schools like Bergen Catholic, Don Bosco, we fund the busing only, with the parents paying for the tuition for those schools. And obviously, in that situation, we would either pay for the busing or aid in lieu, so we pay a maximum of $1,000 per student for those students to go to those parochial schools. Obviously, at our county vocational school, the local school district picks up the busing, but also pays a portion of the tuition. And what I shared with our staff is that Passaic County is the second highest in the state in regard to the percentage of tuition that is paid. And that number, as we also discussed, was $11,614 per student for tuition, plus the cost of the busing, which again is approximately $1,000 per student, similar to the students who go to the parochial schools. The board is also aware that for a number of years our PCTI numbers remained stable at about 65 students, which equated to approximately over $800,000 inclusive of busing for those students to attend PCTI. However, due to the addition of their new STEM facility and the increase of enrollment, and we all know that they're adding 300 students a year for the next 4 years, that number from 65 has now increased to 83 students, which means we are now spending over $1 million of our budget for our students, our 83 students, to attend PCTI. The expected enrollment for the 1920 school year is 106 students, which will increase the impact on our budget to approximately $1.3 million of our budget, which will now be going to PCTI. And I just want to, and what I shared with our staff, and I want to just share here, is that I don't necessarily see this as a PCTI problem, and let me explain what I mean by that. As the leader of any school district, obviously my goal and any superintendent's goal is to do the best they can to improve their school district. And at the end of the day, PCTI and other parochial schools, in some cases, do play an important role for students in Passaic County. I'm not going to argue that point. However, I do not think that the success of PCTI should come at the expense of the local public school districts in Passaic County. I personally see this as more of a freeholder issue, as they would determine the percentage of tuition paid by the local county public schools. As I mentioned, Passaic County currently pays the second highest percentage of tuition in the state. There are many other local school districts that pay either a smaller percentage, and in some cases, the county VOTECs are fully funded by the county budget with no impact on the local school districts. So my plea is really to the county freeholders to reconsider the amount of tuition that they're requiring local county public school districts to pay in regard to their portion of tuition. I did share with our staff yesterday, and I had a great opportunity because I had everyone with us yesterday, not only our teachers, but our, as I mentioned, our administrators, our administrative assistants, maintenance custodial staff, that, what I want us to focus on is what we can do here in Hawthorne. That our focus needs to be, how can we move our district forward? How can we continue to grow and improve in Hawthorne to hopefully prevent students from attending those schools and think twice about attending those schools because they want to stay here in Hawthorne. And we've done, I think, a pretty good job of that, and we'll continue. We're going to continue to move things forward and add new programs. I also shared that over the next few months, the board is going to be communicating this topic of referendum and how that can help our school district and help move us forward. So I just mentioned to our staff, and I'll mention to anyone who's listening or watching our board meeting tonight, that I hope our community and our parents will be open to listening about the upcoming referendum and allowing us to share the need for the many projects that we're going to be sharing, and whether they're facility projects, whether they're projects that directly impact students like our science labs, our STEM lab, our culinary room, things of that nature, because I do think that that is just another way that can help the Hawthorne Public Schools to move forward and hopefully maintain the majority of our students here in our school district. So I just wanted to share, that was something that I shared yesterday at our meeting, and if the board has any questions or any comments, I'll be happy to answer them.
Very good. All right, Mr. Sprito, thank you so much for sharing that information with your staff, the board this evening, and the community. I think it's important that those facts, those correct facts, be shared. All right, moving on. Curriculum and instruction. Abby, please.
Pursuant to the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Committee on C&I recommends the following resolutions. CI 1 on page 3, continued on to page 4, CI 2 through CI 5, also on page 4, CI 6 through CI 7 on page 5, and on the addendum, CI 49 and CI 50. On behalf of the committee, I so move.
Second. Second by Mr. Sierra. Any conversation? No? Roll call, please.
Ms. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Palouse?
Yes.
Mr. Reicher?
Yes.
Ms. Sanford? Yes. Ms. Sierra?
Yes.
Mr. Totaro?
Yes.
Mr. Turco?
Yes.
Mr. Clavijo?
Yes.
Mr. Doyle?
Yes. Personnel. Abby, please.
The following resolutions are pursuant to the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools. P8 through P12 on page 5. P13 through P25 on page 6. P26 through P31 on page 7. Continued on to page 8. And P51 through P54 on the addendum. On behalf of the committee, I so move.
Second by? Second. Here. Any discussion?
I do have a quick question, Mr. Sprito. If you could just clarify P8. I remember that we had a discussion about Ms. Della Cresta being increased to 0.8,
Yes.
and now we're decreasing her to 0.7.
Yeah, so we talked about having increasing her. She has chosen not to, she's not interested in being increased.
Okay.
So we're putting her back to the original 0.7 that we
Okey
had
dokes.
her at first.
Anyone else? Roll call, please.
Mr. Palouse?
Abstain from P27 and P28, and yes to everything else.
Mr. Reicher?
Yes.
Ms. Sanford? Yes. Mr. Sierra?
Yes.
Mr. Totaro?
Yes.
Mr. Turco?
Yes.
Mr. Clavijo?
Yes.
Ms. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Doyle?
Yes. Finance and administration.
Acceptance of donations. There are two donations on the agenda for this evening. There's acceptance of a donation of $1,000 processed through the Lincoln Middle School internal funds from the Lincoln Middle School PTO to be used towards the LMS Respect program, and acceptance of a donation of 6 chair mats valued at approximately $1,500 from an anonymous donor. On behalf of the committee, we'd like to thank the donors for their generosity. Action items. Pursuant to the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Committee on Finance and Administration recommends the following resolutions. F32 through A36 on page 8, A37 through A39 on page 9, A40 through A42 on page 10, A55 on page 16, and A56 and A57 on page 17, which are both addendum pages. On behalf of the committee, I so move.
Discussion. Roll call.
Yes.
Ms. Sanford?
Yes.
Mr. Scarra?
Yes.
Mr. Tutara?
Yes.
Mr. Turco?
Yes.
Mr. Clavijo?
Yes.
Ms. Goff?
Yes.
Mr. Paluso?
Yes.
Mr. Doyle?
Yes. All right, moving on to claims. Mr. Turner.
Thank you, Mr. President. Upon reviewing the January bill list, I'd like to make a motion that the board approve the bill list for the month of January 2019.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ms. Sanford?
Yes.
Mr. Scarra?
Yes with prejudice on vendor number 2875 and 2892. Yes on all others.
Mr. Tutara?
Yes.
Mr. Turco?
Yes.
Mr. Clavijo?
Yes.
Ms. Goff?
Yes.
Mr. Paluso?
Yes.
Mr. Reicher?
Yes.
Mr. Doyle?
Yes. Buildings and grounds. Mike?
Thank you, Mr. President. Pursuant to the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Committee on Building and Grounds recommends the following resolutions. On page 11, BG 44 to BG 46. On page 12, BG 47. On behalf of the committee, I so move. Second.
Any discussion?
I have a question.
Yes.
June 4th, as of current, right now, we are in school for the primary election.
Yes, so that's a good question, actually. I'm glad you brought that up. So, yes, right now we are. My thought is, I have two thoughts. If we have extra snow days, which we've done in the past, that would be a great opportunity to use one of those to take that day off. My other solution is, if for some reason we don't, my thought would be, maybe we want to make that one Saturday, early dismissal day, so we don't deal with the lunches. We can get the kids in, get them out. We don't have to worry about lunches in those rooms. And this way, the kids are there for a short period of time. So that would be my alternative if we don't have an additional snow day.
Okay. Do we need to approve that or anything?
We'd have to approve the change to the contract, to the calendar, excuse me. But we can do that as we get closer. I think we're going to have to wait and see what happens, because we'll have to approve it either way,
Right.
whether it's a day off or early dismissal. I think it would be important to, approve the change in the contract, let the county office know. But yes, we can. I think that's a good thought. I'd like to do something, one or the other.
Yeah, I think they're both good plans.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Scarra?
Yes with prejudice on BG 45, BG 46, and BG 47. Yes on all others.
Mr. Tutara?
Yes.
Mr. Turco?
I should have said it before, but yes, I will go yes with reservation, BG 45, 46, and 47.
Mr. Clavijo?
Yes.
Ms. Goff?
Yes.
Mr. Paluso?
Yes.
Mr. Reicher?
Yes.
Ms. Sanford?
Yes.
Mr. Doyle?
Yes. Abby, back to you with policy, please.
Pursuant to the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Committee on Policy recommends the following resolutions. PO 48 on page 12, continued on to page 13. On behalf of the committee, I so move.
Second.
Any discussion?
Before we begin, I just want to give you a few highlights. I know that these alerts can be a bit tedious, so I try to go through them just to give you the updates that are most relevant to us. And just so that you guys know, just because they appear in the update, we are not automatically reviewing all of them. Some of them are not mandatory. So for 2422, the health and physical education revised policy, they are simply replacing the word Common Core curriculum content standards with New Jersey student learning standards. So that's simply an acronym change. Also, they are changing the fact that school districts are now required to give at least 20 minutes of daily recess for students in kindergarten through 5th grade. So there was a new law that was adapted, so that had to be reflected in the policy. The recess time cannot be counted towards health and physical education requirements, which are separate at 150 minutes per week. Also, there was a law passed on the 10th of August in 2018 that requires the board to include instruction once during middle school on social, emotional, and legal consequences of distributing and and soliciting sexually explicit images through electronic means as a part of New Jersey student learning standards in comprehensive health and physical education. Moving on to 2610, educational program evaluations. Policy guide has been revised to provide additional details regarding the New Jersey Quality Single Accountability Continuum, or NJQSAC as we know it. The operations indicator number 4 on the New Jersey District Performance Review requires a school district to now use multiple, meaning more than 2, sources of data to monitor student achievement and to evaluate the effectiveness of programs. That was not previously noted in the policy. Skipping to 5111, the eligibility for resident and non-resident students. NJ Act 6A:22-3.3 prohibits refusing admittance of any students from public elementary and secondary schools on the basis of immigration visa status, except for students on F1 visas. Further says school districts may only allow F1 visa students to enroll if they are paying full tuition. So we are advised to not permit admittance of F1 visa students, or to permit them only if they are tuition paying. 5330, administering an opioid antidote. We are now required as a district, a school that has 9 through 12 students, to have an opioid antidote accessible in the school building during regular school days and during school functions that are sponsored by the school. This also further mandates that there is training required for specified appropriate school nurses or a designee of a staff member who would volunteer to administer the opioid antidote. A person who is administered the antidote must be transported to the hospital and emergency services. The school nurse and designated trained staff member who volunteered to administer the opioid antidote shall not be held liable for any good faith act. Further, they say that though this may be challenging for the district, the school district with a school with grades 9 through 12 is required to have a school nurse or staff member trained to administer an opioid antidote promptly available on site at all school functions. So that's something that they have to further look into, making sure that that's possible. 5756, transgender students. This is something that now is being very closely monitored by the state and us as well. They are saying that school districts shall accept a student's asserted gender identity and parental consent is not required. Also, in the event a parent objects to a minor student's name change, the superintendent or designee should consult the board attorney regarding the minor student's civil rights and protections under the NJ law. Also, the principal or designee during an initial meeting with the student should also discuss with the student and any other individuals at the student's request the risks associated with the transgender status being inadvertently disclosed. Due to specific and compelling need, such as health and safety of the student or incident of a bias-related crime, a school district may be obligated to disclose the student's status. If a student has expressed a preference to be called by a name other than their birth name, permanent student records containing the student's birth name should be kept in a separate confidential file. With respect to gender-segregated classes or athletic activities, including intramural or interscholastic athletics, all students must be allowed to participate in a manner consistent with their gender identity. And lastly, all students are entitled to have access to restrooms, locker rooms, and changing facilities in accordance with their gender identity to allow for involvement in various school programs and activities. Non-transgender students should also be afforded the option to use a private facility, such as a unisex facility or the nurse's restroom, should the student feel uncomfortable. The remainder of the policies that we will be approving this evening or reapproving are simply verbiage changes. They are going from the word electronic violence and vandalism reporting system, or EVERS, to student safety data system, or SSDS. Sorry for my lengthy report, but I just want to make sure everybody's aware of what you're truly agreeing to.
Oh, that's important. Thank you. Anything else? Any other discussion?
I have a discussion.
Sure, sir.
Clarification, maybe Mrs. Brito can help us out on PR 5111, the F1 visa. Clarification, if I'm correct, we cannot ask the child their background. How are we going to know if it's an F1 visa?
Question. we're not supposed to ask, right, there's certain things.
Right, so I mean, how can we,
Right. So we'll have to inquire with the attorney about it. I'm going to be inquiring about this policy. It says that, Strauss Esme is telling us this policy is mandated, that we're required to have it, but I'm going to be getting clarification from the attorney on this one.
Right. That was the first thing.
Okay, that's a good question.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, roll call, please.
Mr. Tutara?
Yes.
Mr. Turco?
Yes.
Mr. Clavijo?
Yes.
Ms. Gah?
Yes.
Mr. Deleuze?
yes,
Mr. Reicher?
Yes.
Ms. Sanford? Yes. Mr. Scarra?
Yes.
Mr. Doyle?
Yes. All right, moving on to committee and liaison reports. Alex, have anything for us on the negotiations?
Not yet, Mr. President. Hopefully, we'll have something to report next month.
Great, thank you. Abby, back to you. See you.
Okay, CNI met on 1/15. We had a very exciting update from Mr. Cunningham and Ms. Tribona on the exciting plans that are going forward in the high school. I'm not going to get into it in too much detail. We will be presenting a fully detailed presentation, not to use that word more than once, but of what I'm talking about. But just as a quick overview, there will be 4 new career pathways for incoming 9th graders in 2019, so they're the graduating class of 2023. They will be business administration, biotechnology research and health science, communication and performing arts, and government and social sciences. That's very exciting, and more information to come on that. We also discussed tonight's STEM presentation and what would be highlighted. There was an update on common sense media lessons from all schools. It's mostly liked in the middle school, and just a reminder that that's a free resource, so any positive feedback is good feedback. And it's being used as a do now in computer science classes. There was an update on Conquer Math PD and Gravity Goldberg PD, and we're able to bring Gravity in for an additional day, for additional days in writing. So in total, each school will be getting 4 days of personalized PD with her. Mr. Doyle asked about Park. Mr. Spirito said that at his last meeting, the latest news is that nothing will change for the class of 2019 and 2020, and they will have the same graduation requirements. As we know, that's constantly in flux, and the state cannot make up their mind as to what they want to do. And lastly, we discussed the implementation of a new website and app. I'm confident we discussed with all committees, but I'll just do it briefly. We will be changing to School Messenger from Blackboard, and there will be a change also in the app and the parent portal. Parent portal already has a login because, from what I understand, that's what we're using now.
Yeah, the app will be through real time. Right now, our app is through Blackboard, which is the website company. But real time, our student management system has created their own app. So it will update in real time. Obviously that's the name, but as opposed to the current Blackboard app, which only updates once a day overnight. So the real time app will be more current. It'll have parent and student logins, and it'll be the same parent and student login that you use for the parent portal, which is through our website.
So they'll start building it now, and the transition will be officially in July, as this starts on July 1. It will be a cost savings of about $2,000 a year, and it will also offer more functionality, so we won't be losing, we'll be gaining, and we will start to educate the parents sometime in May about the transition. That's all.
Thank you, Abby. Anything additional thoughts?
No, I just spent my time reading through those policies. That was my own personal policy meeting.
Very good. All right, Anthony, what do you have for us with head of CPAC, PTOs, and family engagement?
All right, thank you, Mr. President. I'll start off with the Education Foundation. Their last meeting was on January 15th, and they started moving the process forward for their second annual Food Truck Festival, which was a big success last year, and we hope that we can continue that success this year. They started putting the food trucks in order, reaching out and seeing what kind of vendors they're going to have. And this year they're going to add a little bit of extra activities for the children, so we can hopefully have more families go down and stay down there for a little bit longer. That's going to be again at Gulf Woodland Park. The date on that one is Sunday, May 19th. I know it's a long way off, but it's a warm weather. Hopefully it's a warm weather month. We can start dreaming about the warm weather. I'll have more information on the Food Truck Festival next month. And moving forward on CPAC, which is the Special Education Parent Advisory Council, there's a flyer here that's attached tomorrow night. is their next meeting. It's going to be at the Hawthorne Library from 7 p.m. until 9 p.m. And it is the understanding the basics of an IEP. Everyone's welcome. Children are welcome if they come with a guardian or parent. And again, that's 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the library tomorrow evening. They are also continuing with their Ronald McDonald House community service program with the pull tabs. So if you can continue to collect your pull tabs off of your soda can or anything else that comes in a can that you might be able to get the tabs from, we would appreciate that. Get them together, then I think you can bring them to any of the schools. And again, they're also planning another great event in May for May 5th, Sunday, May 5th, which is going to be their 4th annual Color Walk Run. Rain or shine, so again, mark your calendar. We have 2 dates coming up in May for 2 great events. So please, be on the lookout for that. Put that on your calendars. And then moving on to the Family Engagement Committee. I just want to make a quick announcement here. I want to thank Mr. Cunningham, because not only do we get that verbal phone call that comes in, but if you check your email, the whatever he's stating on that for the high school is in writing. There's a tab that you can click on, and it pulls up this flyer. So you don't go crazy looking for it. Just go into your email. You can pull up this flyer, and it's for the Smart Track College Fund Parent Night Workshop. It's going to be Tuesday, January 29th. It's for all high school students from 9th grade through 12th grade that are planning on attending college. It's basically a night where you can go and get information about the needs of needs-based financial aid. And there's a lot of misconceptions that if you're making too much money or if you have too much in savings, you're not going to be eligible. And from what this Smart Track workshop is going to teach us is that it's more understanding and navigating the system. That's just as important. So everyone should go. And if you're in the lower grades of 9th or 10th graders, you still want to maybe get your hand, get in there, listen to it, learn a little bit this year, and then kind of build on that for future years. So I think that is going to conclude my report for tonight. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Tanya, moving on, Finance and Administration and Legislature.
The Finance Committee met on January 15th. Some of the things that we discussed were the status of the audit. Currently, there are no changes from last month. The state still hasn't given us our numbers. Nothing in our audit is going to change. All our numbers are good. We're just waiting for official numbers from the state, which should come March 7th, and then we'll submit. The 2018-2019 budget, current budget will be frozen, I believe, as of this week. This is a process that we do every year. The budget can still be used, but it has to have, anybody wanting to use the budget from this point forward needs to have special approval from the business administrator. The 2019 and 20 budget, the administrators are working currently on the budget, and hopefully we'll have something prepared to share with us at the next committee meeting in February. The governor is presenting his budget, as I said, March 5th, and our budget is due March 21st. Maintenance reserve. We have a surplus in our maintenance reserve account. We've committed to several projects. There will be 5 lifts being replaced or renovated at Jefferson School, Lincoln Middle School, and Hawthorne High School. The total of this project is around $250,000. We are also planning on putting safety and security window film on the vulnerable windows at all the schools, as required by new legislation. In addition, we discussed doing some other projects, including rehabbing the bathrooms at Hawthorne High School, updating locker rooms at Lincoln Middle School, changing exterior doors at Hawthorne High School and at Lincoln Middle School, and working with redoing Washington School's gym floor. The total of all these projects would be somewhere between $500,000 and $700,000. Other things we discussed were a potential STEM supervisor. There is a savings in our current budget due to decreased health benefits because we budgeted higher than what we ended up paying. So we're talking about possibly putting that money into a tuition reserve account, and that will help pay for some of the PCTI numbers, the out-of-district tuition that we were not budgeted for. And also, in order to combat some of the extra expenses from the out-of-district tuition, we are looking at potentially consolidating bus stops. So having a few less bus stops will help with that. That's all for finance and administration. For For legislation, again, the budget is now expected to be March 5th, and we should have numbers by March 7th. Currently, there's some question about the Common Core and the requirements for graduation. On January 11th, the New Jersey Department of Education issued a memo to clarify that the administration of statewide assessments should continue as scheduled during ongoing litigation. So until something is clear, we should continue as we are doing with graduation requirements. As Mr. Sprito mentioned earlier, January is School Board Recognition Month. And there is a New Jersey School Finance Conference on February 21st. The program will take place in West Windsor, and it will help districts prepare for the budget development process. That's all I have.
Thank you very much. Mike, buildings and grounds, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to thank Ms. Sanford for stealing my thunder because everything I have to talk about you. But I'll go through the process anyway. The Building Grounds Committee met on January 15th. The administration provided the committee with a list of projects that need to be completed. Some of these projects are targeted for immediate repair, while others are considered planned later in the year. The two projects that are needed for some immediate attention, as Ms. Sanford mentioned, we had issue with lifts at some of our schools. Lincoln Middle School and the high school, we have new lifts planned for the second floor of Jefferson. I know Scott had met with Thompson Solutions. These lifts will be replaced, and they cannot wait. I know Scott and his staff have been doing their best by trying to piecemeal things together, and it come to the point where we can no longer swallow the big pill, and we have to commit to replacing these lifts. Drawings need to be approved. It's 5 lifts at $50,000 each. So our rough estimate of the project is $250,000. And secondly, the 3M film. I know we've talked about this many times at previous board meetings to get a little more clarification on accessible windows at all schools. This conversation has been had at previous board meetings. It is a state requirement. Glass Energy is the lowest quote at $26,299.34. This does not include any windows that would be done by the referendum. Windows that are considered under the referendum would be done at the manufacturing point. It would be done inside the actual window itself, so they would not be included. Bathrooms at the high school, there are a couple of bathrooms at the high school that are desperately need repair. Scott Chamber will be providing some additional information and costs for that. Also, locker rooms at Lincoln Middle School also need to repair, the flooring, the lighting, stalls, lockers, etc. Again, we're waiting for more information on that project. Exterior doors at the high school, Lincoln Middle School, the doors and frames are rotten, and they need to be replaced. 2 doors at Lincoln, 4 at the high school. This is scheduled for a July project. Cafeteria doors at the high school. The concern with the cafeteria doors is that they cannot be locked down in case of they can't be locked in case of a lockdown. And there's 3 sets of doors. So we're going to be replacing them. The estimated cost is about $18,000 for each set of doors. And the Washington School Gym, administration stated that the floor gym is in need of repair. We have 2 options that we discussed. One is a pourable product similar to the floor at the STEM lab at Lincoln Middle School. The other is a pliable DPD rubber. Concerns were discussed about the potential flooding outside the entrance door by Washington School, where the gym is. Scott Chamberlain is looking into some type of water block system with a gasket that can be put in place at the doorway that would prevent any water that would get into the school from the heavy rains. And this concludes my report.
Thank you. Oh, you said nothing for NJSP, correct?
No, you can actually take that off.
Very good. Moving along.
That completely?
Yes, that's not something you
Right.
Okay, no problem.
All right, Marco, Council Liaison.
Thank you, Mr. President. I had the opportunity I didn't attend the meeting, but I got to watch it on TV, and it was actually quite informative. The crux of the meeting pertained to the tax assessment reevaluation, and I urged the community to go on the Hawthorne Hawthorne webpage. There is a PowerPoint presentation that you can watch, and it basically just goes over how the process works, when it's going to take place, and just kind of takes it step by step for each, how the process is going to go about. My understanding is that the actual assessment will be starting in October of 2019, and then go from there. But again, I urge the community to go on the Lord Thorne webpage and check out the PowerPoint presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on. Lou, anything on referendum or say can I speak?
Just real quick, Mr. President, just a reminder everybody, the school boards, I think there's a meeting coming up in the latter part of February. I'm sure we'll all be informed. But you all should be receiving your personnel, your ethics and financial disclosures, which are due. It only takes 5 minutes to do it. I did mine today. You get it done, get it out of the way. As far as the referendum, I would like to have a committee meeting. I am unsure of time, date and time at this point. Probably sometime after the next 7 to 10 days. I'll reach out to everybody. Okay? I'd like to get together, have some informal discussion about a few things that have come up, and that's about it.
Okay, and just, if I could just add to that, I think that's perfect, because we're actually going to be meeting, I say we, Trudy, myself, and principals are going to be meeting with Frank Massinio and Tom, just to talk about what things we would want to include in those science labs and some of those academic facilities that we would be including in the referendum, so that he can begin to do the renderings that we will be sharing with the community. So we're going to, it's perfect timing. We'll have those meetings.
All right,
We can then share that at the referendum.
And hopefully before the next board meeting.
Great, that's perfect.
That's it, sir.
Sounds good. Thank you. All right, moving right along. Public be heard. Seeing no one, we'll move right along. General comments and questions from the board related to school district. Start to my right, down by Abby. Bruce?
Boys basketball team won 62-38 over London.
Yeah. Bears.
That's it?
That's it.
Girls lost.
Girls won.
Girls won, yes.
Thank you.
Keep it rolling.
Down this way, Alex.
Just want to thank Mr. Drosky for hosting us.
Make it myself. Stand up and have to.
I have something.
Go ahead, Ty.
And I don't know if we can take advantage of this or not. I'm not really sure what the requirements are, but the New Jersey School Boards Association is launching connectivity initiatives to advance internet access in schools. There is a bunch of money available, and you could put in an application by February 27th to try to be a part of it. I'll quickly just run through it. To ensure all students can take advantage of the promise of digital learning, schools must have access to high-speed internet capable of supporting online educational opportunities. Recognizing this need, the New Jersey School Boards Association is collaborating with the national nonprofit Education Superhighway to make a robust internet a reality for all schools in the state through the NJ K-12 broadband initiative. Governor Murphy recently committed to ensuring New Jersey schools meet the recommended bandwidth of 1 megabit per second per student, a critical step in enabling access to online learning. However, 83 schools currently lack access to a scalable fiber infrastructure, and 165 schools have access to E-rate and Category 2 funds for Wi-Fi internal connections that will expire after this funding year. Resources are available as part of the initiative to help districts achieve these goals and to take advantage of $40 million in federal and E-rate funding available for New Jersey schools. School leaders should speak with district technology staff and plan to take advantage of this funding as soon as possible. Applicants must file a Form 470 by February 27, 2019. So I just kind of thought that was worth looking into.
We already received one, so we do the Form 470.
Oh, okay.
So we've already been doing that for years.
Okay. Well, other schools that...
I appreciate it, but this district has been getting the great funds.
Perfect. Okay, I didn't realize that. That's good to know.
Thank you.
You could have stopped me.
It's all right.
There was something else.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Anybody else down there, man? Good. I got one quick item. The Borough of Hawthorne has a new app that that's available on their website. It's called Burbio, some sort of a notification app. It's got several different uses. One of them is for the school. So, Mr. Sprito, I don't know what we know about it so far, or you can elaborate on it.
I downloaded it. Basically, I have it. But basically, I'm assuming it links to our website because it does have our school calendar. It has our sports calendars for all of our sports teams. And then, of course, it has community information. But if you're looking at the school, you can even select by school, so you don't have to select every school. You can select the schools you're interested in. And even for the sports, right now it has our winter sports: basketball, boys and girls, varsity wrestling, varsity bowling, and indoor track. So you can follow or unfollow whatever you choose to follow. It's actually pretty user-friendly. I just downloaded it because I heard about it myself, and it is pulling the information. It's accurate.
So right now it's syncing to our calendar.
It is. I assume. I mean, all the information is there. I didn't check Mr. Mazzaka, it would be better to check our sports calendar, but I think it's pretty accurate based on what I've seen so far. So,
Well, I guess we'll keep an eye on it. Maybe in the future they'll open it up to something else, so we'll be able to use that as another avenue to get information out to the community other than the calendar.
it's very user-friendly, I'll tell you that. It's really easy to use.
All right, moving on. New business. Start down by you again. Nothing? Martha? Mike? Bruce? Alex? Lou? Tanya?
Can I just add one more thing?
Sure.
I just want to add, and I probably should have added this as part of my report. For the first time since we've been here, Ms. Engel and I participated in a mid-year budget review process at the county office today. Went very, very well, not surprised, but everything went really well. It was an interesting process. It's not something we've ever done before, but it was the county superintendent, the county director of special education, the county business administrator, Ms. Engel and myself, and we basically had a conversation about our current budget, about some of the initiatives in our school districts, some of the things that we've done over the past few years. It was a nice conversation. I thought it went really well. They were impressed by all the things that we've accomplished, but I just wanted to share that with you. It was an interesting process that I haven't been through before, so it's kind of nice to brag about all of it. I just wanted to share that.
Is that something that happens every year?
It doesn't. This is the first time I've ever participated in it. It's the first time we've been asked to participate. But like I said, it was a chance for us to brag a little bit about some of the great things. As a matter of fact, I have promised the county superintendent and county VA that I will invite them to the next Cape Cafe. We talked about our program that we have, and she was a little upset that I haven't invited her to this point. So I told her, I promised her that next month's cafe, she will get to be the first to get the invitation. So hopefully she'll join us.
Is it something you did in Bergen County?
Nope. It's the first time I've ever, even in my 2.5 years in Bergen County, I did not participate in this. We always had to submit information to the county office, but not actually go to the county office and talk about, the current state of our district, our budget, and programs. They talked about some of our new initiatives, what are we looking to do in the future. It was a nice conversation, like I said, a nice opportunity to kind of brag about Hawthorne a little bit. So.
Mike, yes.
Yeah, just really doesn't fit into any of these categories, but it's something I read in the news today. I think it's worthwhile to mention that Ridgewood Board is suing the town because the town moved the election from November back to April, and 2 board members are going to get effectively to be shortened their term. So they're going to be 7 months short of a 3-year term. So I'm interested in how that's going to pan out. I just read it today.
There's also others in the reverse too, though. Like
Where they stay
they
more.
get right.
Well, that's what happened. I guess what we did that.
I got the longer term.
Yeah, that would be easy to do then, I think, shorten someone's term. But it was just an interesting read to see how that's going to play out.
I still think it's something should consider down the road.
They can just take a 0 off. The 0 they get it, right? I just thought it was worthwhile to mention.
Absolutely, that's interesting. All right, nothing else under new business. Old business, I'll change direction. Start down by Anthony. Old business? No? Tanya?
Okay.
Lou? Alex? Bruce, Mike, Mark,
I have something.
all right.
I guess it's more of a question and a comment. I am on the Roosevelt PTO, and I give the board report for the PTO, which I've always found comical because I can tell them whatever I feel like it should be apparent, but no one else comes, so I'm the only one. Tanya is also there. We're the only two people that are present that are also present there. But I do, every time I give a report, remind people that they can watch the video should they choose to. I'm just wondering what other avenues we've taken to get that word out, because I know that we don't have any other PTO members. How can we inform parents, community members, to watch the videos? Because we fought so hard and so long to get it videotaped, and now we have it videotaped, and I feel like, I don't think anybody's watching it.
I think maybe Linda can do something with that.
Well, that's one avenue, but I was going to say that the best, in my opinion, the easiest way is I can ask the principals to include it in their weekly report.
Okay,
Just a reminder that the board
I
meetings
didn't
are
know if we had
available.
done that already. I was just sort of asking if we had done that, because I can't keep track of those.
No, we can send it out.
I do know that, I don't know about the last 2 board meetings that we had that videotapes came out, but pretty much previously, we're getting 30-something views on it, so. I
Well, you can see it.
I will tell you how many people viewed
If
it.
you click on it, it takes you to the YouTube channel, but it shows you
How many people viewed it? Now, I haven't,
Several of those are mine, but in any event.
I think
I'm
some
watching
of
it
them.
30 times, so it might be, but I just want to make sure that we've gotten the news, the
Yeah, we can
information
send
out
it
there. I'm trying to, but I'm only in one school, so.
right.
So to that point, just a suggestion, I'm just thinking out loud, I don't know if it's possible, if it's very time consuming, maybe the night of the meeting, maybe an hour or 2 prior to the meeting, is it possible to send out one of those great phone calls district-wide, just reminding people, hey, tonight's a meeting, you can't attend, you can watch it on.
It's not live.
It's not live.
It's not live.
But they can tune in, plug in, post it for a couple of days. Yeah.
Right.
So whatever happened to us speaking to...
So you don't talk out loud, you yourself.
Mrs. Brito,
Yes.
I know we were going to, the town had told us that they would make available to us to put it on channel 2877. I don't know if we ever pursued that or...
We didn't, I mean, I think if we asked them, they would play it.
I don't know if we want to, it's free,
Yeah, it's
right?
up to the board. I mean, I'm sure if we asked them to, they would play it.
Just another avenue.
Yeah, I haven't pursued it,
Right.
but it's up to the board.
It still won't be streamed, but
Right, we would have to share our video with them.
we'll talk to tape and see how fast it
So,
Can I ask Marco, when you watched the council meeting, was it on the YouTube channel or was it on the website?
Channel 28.
Yeah, I watch it on TV.
Oh, it was on, you watched
That
it
was,
on
that
TV?
was
And it's live.
live, yeah.
And you can also watch it on their website, and then, like when I was council liaison a few years ago, I used to watch the YouTube channel, I used to watch it the next
So
morning.
they posted on...
If I didn't make the meeting, I just watched it, I was doing my work in my office, and I have it in the background.
All right, good, nobody else? All right, moving on, private session, be resolved. Board of Education convenes an executive session to discuss exempt matters pertaining to HIV. Yeah. All right, be it further resolved that it is anticipated that executive session will be for 45 minutes in duration, that the public action may or may not be taken. Be it further resolved that the minutes of the executive session will be made available upon determination by the board, and the disclosure of the minutes will not detrimentally affect any right or interest of the board, and the need for confidentiality no longer exists. I'll entertain a motion to go into private. Motion.
Second.
Second, discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Turco?
Yes.
Mr. Vino?
Yes.
Ms. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Deleuze?
Yes.
Mr. Raisher?
Yes.
Ms. Sanford? Yes. Mrs. Guerra?
Yes.
Mr. Pataro?
Yes.
Yes.